Guys, if I am a hot mess right now, that's because I haven't been able to sleep in like a week, and I just got home from running around all day. I've already made it a coffee run, a grocery store run, to Bible study, and now I just got my youngest one down for a nap, and then Maverick's watching this new little show that he likes on Netflix, so I have a minute to talk to you. And today we are talking about breastfeeding. This is something I so wish someone would have talked to me about when I very first had kids, because for me it was a very difficult journey, especially with my first child. My second one, super easy. And we'll see how the third one goes. But guess what? I'm giving myself a little grace this round because, well, let me just tell you the story of how it happened. I have 4 older sisters who breastfed their babies, a mom who did the same, and then I had Maverick, so I thought, this is just something that comes very natural to women. And let me tell you, it does not. And to the majority of us, it is more painful than anything you could imagine. For me, it was worse than both of my labors. And maybe that's because I had really easy labors. Got lucky there. But with Maverick, I just thought, okay, this is gonna be great. We're gonna breastfeed. He comes out, latches on right away. I didn't know they had to have a proper latch. I didn't know that you had to, that a baby had to do it 9 million times a day. I was miserable. I mean, not just physically, it was so painful that the doctor was prescribing beer for me to relax and for milk production and pain pills. But emotionally, it threw me right into the baby blues. I wouldn't say full on postpartum depression or anything like that. I was really lucky in that sense, but I cried for a good 3 weeks after Maverick was born. And this is really hard to admit, but I remember at one point seeing him and just telling Ryan, take him away from me. I felt like a horrible mom, and then I couldn't hold him, and oh my gosh, see, the hormones just come flooding back. But I felt like I was failing my baby because I wasn't producing enough milk. I could not get him to latch on properly. I was in so much pain that I dreaded even holding him because my milk would come down, and I physically didn't think I was capable of going through the pain of another nursing session. I was in touch with all the lactation consultants at my hospital. They were amazing. I was in touch with my doctor, everything. But at that point I had gone too far, where in my mind now, if I could go back in time, I would certainly have pumped. I would pump. What are you doing, Mav?
Pump boobies.
Pump the boobies. Right there. That is the story of our lives after we have children, if you choose to breastfeed. Else, I would have turned to formula. But I did not know that that was okay because I was being pressured so much into the breast is best. Breastfeeding is natural. You've got to nurse your kid because that's what God intended. So for me, I didn't have anyone telling me, it's okay. It's okay to give them formula. It's okay to pump and feed them. I mean, for goodness sakes, it's the same thing. So I went through 3 weeks of absolute hell breastfeeding, and then it started getting a little bit better, and then I did start incorporating pumped bottles because I went back to work very early with Maverick. But I also suffered 12 different infections during that time, clogged ducts, literally anything you could think of that was a negative of breastfeeding I went through with Maverick, and I stuck with it. And by 4 months, we had it down packed. And then 6 months later, he was weaning himself basically. But I was lucky in the fact that he could go from breast to bottle very easily. My kids, neither one of them would really take pacifiers. We tried, they just wouldn't take them. But I remember one night when Maverick was 3 or 4 days old, and the doctor was like, he's failing to thrive. He just wasn't getting enough milk from me. And my husband came home from the grocery store and had bought a box of formula, and I broke down. I thought, oh my gosh, what kind of mom am I that I cannot feed my child, that I cannot give him what he needs? I also suffer from endometriosis, stage 4 endometriosis and PCOS. And one day I'll tell my entire infertility journey to you guys, but it was very difficult for us to conceive Mav. And then when I couldn't produce the milk, and even the lactation consultants were saying, you know, give yourself a break. You just physically can't produce the milk. I mean, I tried everything. If you ever have any questions about breastfeeding, please come to me, because I was able to find a routine and a medication that helped me produce that milk for Maverick. In the meantime, I had a wonderful friend from my hometown, Cammie, who donated her breast milk to me. And so that's what I ended up using, again, because I, at that point, thought formula was the devil, because that's how I grew up thinking. If I could go back in time, I would, and for any advice for new moms out there, your mental stability is so important. As a new mom, you are dealing with so many more things than breastfeeding. And of course, the majority of women want to try it and do it. But if you are going through what I went through, and you feel like it's mentally taking a huge toll on you, it is so much better to have a happy mom, you know, and a fed baby. So do what works for your family. If that means formula, if that means donated milk, if that means exclusively pumping, I just do mentally what's best for you. By the time I had Rhett, I thought, all right, I'm a master at this. It's gonna be perfect. That's Joey shaking the camera, my dog over here trying to eat the food off the high chair, because that's where I have the camera poised right now. Anyhow, when I had Rhett, I was in the hospital, and I was getting PTSD already, because I had started nursing him, and it was hurting so bad again. And some women, it just hurts so bad. Some are lucky and it doesn't. He was an amazing nurser. I mean, perfect latch from the very beginning. The nurses were like, man, you've definitely done this before. They wanted me to go into the rooms next to me and help them to get their babies to latch, because I had been through that journey. If I had some advice, I would say definitely go to the classes. They are free. Like the ones here, after I had Maverick, and I believe Rhett too, were every Tuesday at Penrose St. Francis for like an hour each morning, and they would weigh the baby before and after the feeding, and there were women walking around, lactation consultants, helping you to get the whole nursing thing down. And also you just have the women in the trenches of it, you know, like just right alongside you. So it makes you feel like, okay, I'm normal, I'm going through this, because as much as your husbands want to help, they really can't. Ryan wanted to do everything he could to help, especially when it was our first child. But I was so hormonal, like going up and down in the breastfeeding. I wouldn't let him touch Mav. I wouldn't let him, you know, God forbid he feed him. My goodness, like it would have given him nipple confusion, where he wouldn't know where his food source was coming from. He couldn't give him a bottle. There's no way. Oh my gosh, I had to wake up with him every moment of the night, and I was just completely exhausting myself to the point of depression. Am I too loud, baby? Okay. And poor Ryan just wanted to help, so he had to find other ways to do that. But it was a really tough journey for us to figure out, like, and just detangle everything in our lives at that point. So when Rhett came along, I thought, all right, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, I had chosen that I wanted to pump, because I still wanted to do the whole breast milk thing. At this point, I literally feel like I'm just a pro when it comes to breastfeeding. So if you have any questions, please reach out to me. If you don't want to do it, reach out to me too. I will be that person to listen and that shoulder to cry on, because I've been on both like opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes to it. The grass is always greener on the other side. A much longer maternity leave with Rhett, so I took that full 3 months and didn't do a bottle the entire time. I thought, man, how convenient is this? Anywhere we were, I could just throw my, you know, nursing cover over me and just feed him, and no bottles, no this, no that, no complaining, no crying. This was just wonderful, right? Well, that's okay, baby, yeah. Yeah. That's okay. When I went back to work, this kid refused to take a bottle. Total boob man right there. We tried, and I am not kidding you, like 14 different kinds of bottles. I didn't even know they had that many on the market. And I went back to work. I was stressed out. I was crying because he would not take a bottle. Luckily, they were only at a sitter for some 4 hours a day in there. But this kid refused anything but breastfeeding. So we ended up kind of having to wait it out, and then he would just have to go without eating for some 4 hours and then get his food later parts of the day, which meant I was up a lot during the night. So there are trade-offs. I'll tell you, with this third child, my goal is to be able to nurse and pump so that they'll take a bottle and the breast. However, I'm not gonna kill myself over it. I wanna be happy. Like, if I have to pump exclusively for him or her, great. But breastfeeding is a big issue. Like, educate yourself beforehand if you wanna do it. Find support from people who not only support the thought of breastfeeding, but support you if you decide not to do it as well. And my big advice, when you're actually, when you go through the whole hospital registration and everything, put down for your wishes that you have a lactation consultant in the room right after you give birth, because that was a big help with Rhett for me, as somebody was in there right away helping me to do it properly, so the pain is not as agonizing from the beginning. But please reach out if you have any questions too. Remember, you can always email me at brie.groves@koaa.com. I will put you in touch with people that I absolutely loved. I'll put you in touch with the classes, or you can just ask me mom to mom, and I'm so happy to answer any questions or just listen to your stories. Thanks for watching.